Yesterday, OMB came out and said actually Obama's deficit and addition to our federal debt is more like $9.5 trillion over the next 10 years. They use 10 years, not 8 years, but
we can't wrap our minds
around
that.
Much higher than expected, and if they're higher now, you know they're going to be much, much higher.
Yep.
So the bottom line here, Jan, is what we're doing is we're strapping a tremendous amount of debt on our country that needs to be serviced. There's a debt service here, and that means eventually they're going to have to raise tax considerably, and that's not even talking about Social Security and Medicare's deficits.
All right. Some of the figures you're throwing out, Bill, those are figures that's hard for the mind to wrap around. Those.
We're not used to trillion-dollar figure, Jan. You're right.
Yeah.
It used to be billions and hundreds of billions.
But
now, I remember in 1998, 1999, when long-term capital management had a credit derivatives default. It was $5.4 billion, and people were freaking out about $5.4 billion. The Fed came together. The powers to be came together, and they worked out this problem, $5.4 billion. That's nothing.
Yeah, if some kid gets that for his allowance every week, probably. Now, here's another thing, and I don't want to dwell on this AIG thing, but I just want to mention it here because then get your response as well. Someone has written, forget about the bonus outrage. This is concerning AIG. What about Sharia finance? AIG is Sharia compliant. That's Islamic law for a certain department within AIG. And as Frank Gaffney says, and boy, Gaffney, when Gaffney speaks, people listen.
Betcha.
This guy's tops on security.
Right on.
No matter what he talks about, he's the best. And he has written, Bill, give me your take on this. I'm very concerned. He says, will Obama embrace Sharia law as part of his Respect Islam campaign? And then Gaffney says President Obama Friday reiterated for the umpteenth time his determination to develop a, quote, new relationship with the Muslim world. On this occasion, the audience were leaders of Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Well, probably explaining Sharia law is going to take a little bit too much time here, but go ahead and respond any way you'd care to with this issue I've just raised.
I completely concur about Frank Gaffney Jr. He was with the Reagan administration. He's Jewish. He's very pro-Israel, obviously. He's a bottom-line guy. Excuse me. And he's been talking about the threat of Iran for a long time. And it was interesting. He had an article, Goodbye Britain, that we've read. Yeah. And I think he said it was very, this recent meeting of Gordon Brown, the UK Prime Minister, came to the White House, and it was just like a normal meeting. It wasn't like this is the British. President Bush was always so respectful of our long-term relationship with the British government and the British leaders. What Obama did in this meeting with Gordon Brown is give this statue back of Winston Churchill that was given to President Bush. Why not put it in one of our museums here or somewhere like that? No, he gave the statue back, which spoke volumes. Also, Gordon Brown brought a gift of previous editions of works and writings of Winston Churchill. And Obama gave him, in return, 25 DVDs of movies that weren't even in the, you have a different mechanism over there, so that they can't even be played on British equipment. So it's 25 DVDs of some of our better movies. That was it. And Gaffney made a great point here. Is this a sign to Britain that this administration is going to travel another road?
Yeah.
In other words, travel a road to appease Islam and Russia and some of the enemies of America. And this longtime ally is basically being put aside. And even one of the State Department officials say, what's special about Britain? I don't know why there's a big beef about it. Well, the British picked up on this big time, and this is very significant, Jan. Come on. This is the fact that Churchill bus given back, the fact that what an insincere gift. Basically somebody ran over to the local CVS store and grabbed some tapes, or tape store, and picked up the tapes. This was a very significant thing that Obama did, and I think it's something that's kind of ominous for us in the future. And we do know Sharia law, which is extreme, fundamental Islamic law having to do with finances has seeped into the UK and other countries, and it's very possible and plausible if he continues to attempt to appease Islam that this could possibly happen in America someday.
Well, it's in AIG. They have Sharia-compliant banking within AIG. So that's why I raise the question. So I believe Gary Bauer has reported on that, and a few others. And apparently, We the People own 80% of AIG, but We the People now promote Sharia as well within AIG.
Well, Gaffney was the one that wrote about the Harvard University sponsored a conference at the U.S. Treasury Department in November that had to do with Sharia law having to do with finances. This was a one-day event at the U.S. Treasury, co-sponsored by Harvard and some Islamic financial leaders. So it is around and about us.
Yeah.
AIG being compliant would be an example of we want some of your bucks, and we'll do what we have to get them.
All right. I'm going to let me give out the email line, but we're not going to take any emails till the second hour here. But if you'd like to email in a question to Bill, we'll take it next after the top of the hour. And that would be jan@uttradio.com, jan@uttradio.com. I need your name, your city, state, and a short question, and we'll take them next hour. Heidi is in studio with me to take your emails. We'll take them next hour, but you might want to send them in now. So we'll just give you that opportunity. Bill, I go back to our conversation that we seem to be, as you stated, leaving some allies and cozying up to the enemy, be it Syria, be it Iran, some other places in the Middle East. We seem to be doing things entirely backwards as it comes to foreign policy. And I'll play a clip at the top of the hour of President Obama throwing an olive branch to Ahmadinejad in Iran, who turned it down, I believe, this morning. But nonetheless, this is the mindset going on. Perhaps this is the mindset of the secular humanist. I don't know, if we treat our enemies with love, they will eventually love us. That's not your worldview or mine. Our Bible says the heart is deceitful and desperately wicked.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fact that the first interview that
Al Arabia
exactly had was with a Middle Eastern news service based in Saudi Arabia, and he was very open and said that relationships are going to be different, and that he was looking forward to rapport in the future with members of Islam, that he'd lived in a Muslim country, actually said countries in the interview, but country, and that, his father was a Muslim but not a practicing Muslim. He didn't mention that, but that was obviously the case. And I think, Charles Krauthammer, Frank Gaffney, and a few others, Jewish men, wrote articles saying, look, wait a second, you're sitting here apologizing for what America has done. Let's look at what they have done to us. Terror events, bombings of embassies, the Marine barracks there in Lebanon, the terror in Iraq, in other parts of the Middle East, Afghanistan and Pakistan. He said, wait a second, what are you doing here? This administration believes that they, especially this president, believes that he can meet with anybody and through a charm offense, develop a close relationship with them and for the positiveness of our country. But I think it doesn't bode well. Obviously, it's also a disconnect with the reality of this radical ideology called Islam. And I think it's, you don't put off long-term relationships that, especially with nations that have stood with us through thick and thin and through difficult times, for the sake of appeasing an enemy of America.